Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming back. We appreciate you being back here with us. This is Team Brown Podcast. I'm Jeremy. This is Erica. And we are on episode 16, I think. So it's been 16 episodes.
I think so.
That's bananas. Okay. So today we have been, last couple days, we've been out in the backyard. And we've been working, doing everything, it seems like. And that's because in Houston, the seasons have changed from frigid cold. In our world, frigid cold means someplace in like the 30s and 40s. I know some people, that's warm to them. But so it's been frigid cold, and then now all of a sudden it's like 70s and 80s, and it's fantastic. And so what have we been doing? Talk about all the reasons why spring is your favorite.
Oh, it's just really pretty to look at, and it's a reminder that life comes from death. And things that were buried for the last few years are starting to sprout, because last year we had freeze, and so nothing grew really in the garden or even blossomed on any of our trees, our flowers or plants. So I think it's just a reminder that, God makes all things new, and it's really pretty. And we've been gardening and watering flowers and planting flowers, and so it's been nice.
And so I've been working on something recently where when we bought this property 3 years ago, we found a lot of miscellaneous construction projects that were like halfway finished. And we got a bunch of like rando bricks, right? And rocks and like landscaping stuff. But they weren't, it was all hodgepodge kind of throughout the yard. And so we had to collect them, put them in a place, and then we've been using them kind of sporadically. And on one of Erica's podcasts that she does independently of this, but is wrapped into our channel on Apple and Spotify and the places that we put it, you talk about broken glass. You talk about the idea that like when we got here, it wasn't perfect, right? When we got here, there was residue of death here. Not people dying, but like residue of like bad decisions, right? People who had been here before, where there's needles or broken glass and things like that throughout the yard. And it was evidence of the fact that the people who lived here before us had gone through some rough times. And we got some backstory through some of the neighbors where we were right. And this last couple days, I mention all that to say that we've used the landscaping rocks that were left behind to kind of paper over all of the broken glass, right? So we put boards down on top of that, and we put brand new soil, and we put the landscaping rocks around it, and then we're going to be planting like wildflowers or something on top of that. And it's not a permanent fix, but it's a now fix. But it allows something that was residue of not even us, but somebody before us that were like, that's not safe for the kids, and that it creates a danger, and it's kind of ugly, and it allows us to be able to bring life to something that was dead, right? And so this is a season where we have the opportunity to be out, and it's nice and warm, and we get a chance to kind of be out, and the weather is great, and create something where the flowers will bloom out of something that was otherwise dead. And so that's part of, God does that in us, right? And we've seen that. It's kind of evidenced by our own lives. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I keep yawning. I'm so tired.
It's nighttime.
I'm so tired tonight. But yeah, I think about that a lot when I'm outside. It's when I hear God the most, so he talks to me, and I feel that way when I'm in the garden and thinking about the seeds. Well, not my thoughts, but he helps me think about the seeds and how, they must feel so scared and alone and cold in the dark. But we're planting them by faith. But if you think about the life of a seed and the experience of that seed, because it is living, it is alive, it longs to spring forth and to come through the surface. But for a season, it's in the dark, and it's in the cold, and it's uncomfortable, and it's wet, and it's saturated. I said probably feels like it's drowning, every time we water it. And how often in our own lives we feel like we're drowning, or like our head is just above water, like that seed. But, then one day that seed will break through. And one day in your life, there will be a breakthrough and you'll blossom into something beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Spring is that for us, right? And I think that, like, with it, some people love the winter. They love the cold. That's not our family. not even a little bit. But there's good in it, right? Like, I think that sometimes you just got to look for the good in the season. And winter, it brings snow. Kids love snow. Like, I remember growing up, I remember the first time that you saw snow, I would happen to be there.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of, God blessed me with that moment where I actually got it, where we took pictures. And it was in Sedona. And there's this joy, right? There's this, like, glimpse in your eye that's just like, yeah, that's what snow does for kids, but it also does it for adults. Whenever you're like, oh, snowflakes and things, it's kind of neat. But also, like, there's good in certain seasons. You got to look for the good part of that season, right? And without the winter, there's no spring. And so you also have to look to, like, this season brought me to this other season. I mean, for our story, if we're looking to parallel that to life, like, our winter brought our spring, you know? And even again, you know, the next year happened again. Meaning, like, later in our life, we had to go through that winter again to really bring life again. And I think sometimes, you know, sometimes we like to be polarizing, or we like to be binary, right? As human beings, we like to say everything was good or everything was bad. And it's like, no, this season allowed me to have this other thing. And that's the joy of that season. That season, like, there's a lot of seasons in our life where it's like, man, I don't wish anybody to relive that. You know, that's awful. But it's without that season, we don't have this.
Right.
And so I think, and we're trying to give our kid that perspective right now. Remy's struggling with the idea that some of his friends may not be returning to the school that they go to, right? And so he's kind of struggling with the idea that, like, I want the friends I have now forever. And we talked last episode about Eden having that same experience with, like, I know this, right? And it's like, man, there'll be a day when you're married, there'll be a day when you have kids, where, like, the friends that you establish when you're a child, they won't matter as much. And that's your season. Your season is being a kid. And that's good that you have friends. But nothing is forever, and everything has seasons. And so, but I think sometimes we forsake the season. It's like, why are we doing that? So, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Our kids are, it's fun and it's hard, right? To have kids. It's a blessing, and then there's some difficult parts where you have to really parent and correct, but you need that too. You need that to have a well-rounded, good behaved child. But yeah, Remy, he has this crush right now. His first little crush is really cute, and one of the things he said to us, Jeremy and I, is, what if I never see her again? And because there may be changes in our life. We might not even be returning to the school. We're not really sure what exactly is going to happen yet. But some of his friends aren't, or they won't have the same class schedule. And we just sat down with him, and I told him, I'm like, Remy, God is big enough, and God is able to bring you the right person at the right time. God has more than enough, plans for you and for your life, and they're good. And God knows who you're supposed to marry, and God knows who you're supposed to be with. So you just trust Him. You don't have to worry about what if you never see her again. If that's who God wants you to be with, God will make it happen. I mean, look at us. Our kids, the thing that's kind of hard for them is, Jeremy and I met as kids. We were 9 and 10 at church. Our kids know our story, so in their minds, they sometimes default to, I'm going to meet someone as a child, like my parents, and that's going to be my husband, or that's going to be my wife. So when they meet someone and they're children, they're like, but Mom, like Remy, he's like, but Mom, that you and Dad, you were kids, you were my age. It's the same thing. You guys got married, and we're like, no, we didn't just meet when we were kids and get married.
That's not how that happened. There
was a lot of different parts where we were not together in that season and loved each other, but our life went a different direction, So, yeah, I think just talking to them about change and how change is good and change is okay, and it's not bad, and every season of your life is different, and this is going to be for your whole life. So trying to get them used to the idea that friends will change and environments will change. And
something that helped me whenever I was struggling with, like, either trying to hold on to my current, right, and or just, you know, this is forever, and trying to hold it tight when it like just evaporates, you know, is that like, if you love it, I'm sorry, but if you hate it, then you're in luck. And it's like, it's gonna go either way. So either way that you play this, your now is not forever. And sometimes I think people, like, you know, we have family members, or we have like friends and stuff, where it's like they talk about a place in their life when they really valued that place, which is not a bad thing to happen. I mean, Remy's doing that right now with his friends. And so, I mean, there's places in our life where we think about them fondly, right? But it's like, we can rubber stamp that and say, like, it was awesome when it was there, but it's not here anymore.
Yeah.
And that's okay too, right? Because the next thing will be awesome too, and we can rubber stamp that, you know. But to hold on to something and to try to protect it when we know it's going to go away, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. And so we try to instill that value in our kid, and we try to also remind each other of that whenever we're like, hey, this season's hard. It's like, well, hey, we're in luck, because here in a couple months, this season will be done. You know, for about a year in Texas, that season was hard, you know. And so, I don't know. So seasons. All right. So hopefully this blessed you today. Do you have anything else before we go?
It's just, I love that quote that says your season has an expiration date.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's forever. So just remember that, like, whatever you're going through, whatever season you're in, it has an expiration date, and it's not your forever. So you don't have to feel stuck. You'll get through it.
Yeah. God bless you guys. Thanks for hanging with us. Catch us for episode 17. Have a great one.